connecting you. This is Iowa's News Now at 5.
These inequities are an age-old problem.
Ahead today on Iowa's News Now at 5, a new research app is meant to learn about healthcare barriers for what's considered an invisible population in Iowa. We begin on this Friday with our continuing coverage of the murder trial of 26-year-old Christian Bahena Rivera. He's accused in the stabbing death of UI student 20-year-old Molly Tibbetts. Part of the testimony today centered on biological evidence found by forensic experts. Prosecutors say the evidence points to Bahena Rivera as her killer. Iowa's News Now reporter Shannon Mowdy is live from Davenport. She's breaking down some of the toughest testimony this jury has heard yet. Shannon?
Yeah, Karen, we're now getting to the physical evidence prosecutors say ties Bahena Rivera to the crime. And so today we did see some of those crime scene photos, and they were shown to the jury. That includes photos of Tibbetts' body in the cornfield, as well as some of her clothing that was scattered nearby. That included a headband, shorts, and underwear 15 to more than 30 feet from her body. We also heard about an analysis of Bahena Rivera's Malibu and his home. Criminalist Tara Scott tested several items from the Malibu's trunk and parts of the trunk itself and says Molly Tibbetts' blood was found in at least 2 areas.
Screening tests indicated the presence of blood on those swabs. And the DNA profile that I developed matched the known DNA profile of Molly Tibbetts.
And is there a statistical number also associated with that that you were able to utilize?
Yes.
And what is that?
The probability of finding this profile in a population of unrelated individuals chosen at random would be less than 1 out of 8.2 non-nillion.
Now, the defense has pointed out that Bahena Rivera's DNA was not found on any of the items or the evidence, including Molly's body or her clothing. And they also pointed out that no DNA was taken from anyone else close to Molly Tibbetts. Live in Davenport, Shannon Mowdy, Iowa's News Now.
Shannon, thank you. Our team coverage continues now with a look at how the defense painted a picture of Christian Bahena Rivera as having been coerced by law enforcement into giving a false confession. Iowa's News Now reporter Dion Broxton joins us now. And what did the defendant's attorney have to say, Dion?
Karen, Bahena Rivera's lawyers said her client spent a full day working on a dairy farm before police brought him in for questioning. Jennifer Freeze said Bahena Rivera was tired and hungry during that 11-hour interview. Freeze argued officers like former Iowa City cop Pamela Romero lied about information regarding the Molly Tibbetts investigation before cops took him into custody. Freeze said Romero forced Bahena Rivera to confess by only giving him a sandwich over the course of 11 hours and making him believe he couldn't leave.
An interview is when you talk with a witness, correct?
Yes.
An interrogation is when you confront a suspect. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
This was an interrogation.
At that time, I did not know that Mr. Rivera was a suspect.
Well, you were confronting him that he was a liar at that time. Isn't that right?
I do not recall calling Mr. Rivera a liar at any time.
Romero testified that she showed Bahena Rivera the exit before the interview started, but she admitted to lying about investigators finding hair in his car and already getting his phone records. Halfway through the interrogation, federal authorities took Bahena Rivera into custody for being an undocumented immigrant. Prosecutors are obviously rejecting the idea Bahena Rivera falsely confessed because he led authorities to Tibbetts' body. Dion Broxton, Iowa's News Now.
Well, it was another warm and muggy afternoon in eastern Iowa. Once again, we did get into the 70s. Some places, though, much warmer than others. For example, Waterloo all the way up to 78. Meanwhile, Cedar Rapids just 74. 73 the high in Dubuque this afternoon. A live look tonight over Iowa City from Kinnick. You can see a lot of cloud cover in place, but for now, things are relatively dry. On the radar and satellite view, not much in the way of precipitation ongoing in eastern Iowa. A thunderstorm up towards Decorah, some light showers over towards Dubuque. As we go throughout the night tonight, actually, I do expect most of the night to be rather dry. In fact, even a bit of clearing skies late tonight into early tomorrow morning with lows in the mid-60s. Now, looking ahead, we do have a big warm-up and several more chances for rain to go. We'll talk about that in your full weather forecast in a few minutes.
All right, Nick, we'll see you then. Developing tonight, University of Iowa researchers are studying ways to make health care more accessible for migrant and seasonal farm workers in the Hawkeye State. Iowa's News Now reporter Emily Chavez spoke with a lead investigator on how the program works.
COVID-19 is exposing disparities and inequities among essential workers like migrant and seasonal farm workers. That's why researchers are creating a texting app to learn what challenges those groups face in getting the care they need.
These inequities are an age-old problem.
A problem principal investigator Claudia Corwin says she's working to fix.
This is a project which is looking at reaching migrant and seasonal farm workers with the help of mobile technology, a texting app.
A population that tends to be invisible to the healthcare system and vulnerable to injuries and illnesses like COVID-19.
And what we hope to do is, in the broadest sense, see if it is feasible to engage workers in this project. Do they want to do it? Will they sign up?
During a 3-month project, researchers plan to ask willing farm workers health-related questions twice a week through the app.
Data is power.
Danielle Zinnel is the CEO of Proteus, a federally qualified mobile health center working with migrant and seasonal farm workers.
These farm workers trust Proteus. Many times many of these farm workers have no health care except for when they arrive in Iowa and register for the Proteus clinics.
That trust in Proteus also extends to their partnership with the University of Iowa.
There's not a lot of data out there on farm workers, and it can be challenging to collect data on farm workers.
Both Zinnel and Corwin hope this project will spark real change.
Without data, you can't push for policies. And if you can't push for policies that address the inequities, you're essentially perpetuating the inequity itself.
Corwin tells me it will take about 6 months until researchers will be able to report their findings. If all goes well, she hopes to expand the program across the states. Emily Chavez, Iowa's News Now.
Pharmacies in all of Iowa's 99 counties, oftentimes in towns that may not have immediate access to other healthcare services.
Access to virus testing and treatment is expanding across the state of Iowa. Tonight at 6 on Iowa's News Now, reporter Jillian Brooks will break down how your local pharmacist will be the only stop you'll have to make when you're feeling under the weather.
The rate of vaccinations is down in some states, offering big payouts to some who get the shot. But is that a fair use of taxpayer money? I'm Atrell Nashar in Washington with a close look at that debate.
Celebrations broke out in the streets of Gaza today after a deadly 11-day battle with Israel ends. The barrage of airstrikes and rockets stopped at 2 a.m. local time when Israel and the Palestinian group Hamas agreed to the ceasefire. Both sides, though, are claiming victory, leaving a long-term solution up in the air. The UN says the two sides must start a dialogue to address the root causes of the conflict. President Biden says the U.S. will continue to work to ensure peace in the region.
I believe the Palestinians and Israelis equally deserve to live safely and securely and to enjoy equal measures of freedom, prosperity, and democracy. My administration will continue our quiet and relentless diplomacy toward that end. I believe we have a genuine opportunity to make progress.
Rebuilding Gaza will take time after days of airstrikes reduced homes and buildings to rubble and depleted medical and water supplies. President Biden says he'll work with Palestinian authorities to send aid for recovery. The White House is slashing its infrastructure plan, going down from more than $2.2 trillion to $1.7. Biden administration officials met with Senate Republicans today, laying out the counteroffer. It shifts certain elements like supply chain, manufacturing, and small businesses into other bills under consideration. It also reduces funding for broadband to the level proposed by Republicans, as well as roads and bridges projects. The White House says it's an effort to seek common ground.
this proposal exhibits a willingness to come down in size, giving on some areas that are important to the president, otherwise they wouldn't have been in the proposal, while also staying firm in areas that are most vital to rebuilding our infrastructure and industries of the future, making our workforce and our country more competitive with China.
Democrats are calling for increased investments in critical transportation infrastructure such as rail, as well as the removal of lead pipes across the country.
Well, we didn't see a lot of rain so far today, but for the 8th consecutive day, we've had measurable rainfall, 400ths of an inch in Cedar Rapids. We can use more rain, and there is more in the forecast. We'll talk about that and when things may get a lot less humid. That's on your full weather first forecast next.
Right now, more than half of adults in at least 19 states and the District of Columbia are fully vaccinated against COVID. The U.S. is also reporting some of the lowest COVID numbers in nearly a year. Some experts say we're finally turning a corner in the pandemic, but the vaccination rates have slowed in recent days. More than 48% of the population has received at least one vaccine dose, according to the CDC. Overall, around 38% of the nation's population is fully vaccinated. The Hawkeye State ranks 17th in the nation in the percentage of the population fully vaccinated. Just over 41% of Iowans are fully immunized. 47% have received at least one dose, putting the state 23rd in that category. Some states are turning to cash incentives to get people vaccinated. Iowa's News Now correspondent Audra El-Nashar shows us why critics say it's unfair.
In more and more states, rolling up your sleeve could put cash in your pocket. Maryland and New York state lotteries stepping in to give people who get vaccinated a shot to win millions in prize money.
If you were undecided about getting a vaccine or dubious about getting a vaccine, now you have an added bonus.
They take after Ohio's Vax-A-Million program, which is paid for with federal COVID relief funds, giving out 5 $1 million prizes. So far, it's working. According to the state, vaccinations are up 28% since the program was announced. West Virginia also using state money to incentivize shots with either a $100 savings bond or gift card.
I hope they'll that I'll be able to get as many savings bonds in the hands of our kids and our young people.
It's not a horrible idea. I'm not sure it's actually necessary.
Head of undergrad economics at Harvard and economic studies at Cato Institute, Jeffrey Myron says a smarter move would have been for the federal government to order more vaccines late last year.
Spend tens of billions, if not maybe even trillions of dollars, so that we could have gotten almost everybody vaccinated very quickly.
Whether or not paying people to get vaccinated is a wise use of taxpayer money is up for debate, but the numbers show something needs to be done. According to a new Washington Post ABC News poll, 1 in 4 Americans are disinclined to get any kind of COVID vaccine.
States like Montana and Connecticut also trying to speed up the return to normal by offering cash bonuses to return to work. Myron says incentivizing people to work should be up to companies, not the government.
Spending taxpayer money is just a transfer to the businesses that don't want to have to raise wages. They want somebody else to pay for the higher wages, but that's completely inappropriate in the U.S. economy.
This week's report of new unemployment claims hitting a pandemic low has many hoping states won't feel the need to incentivize work or vaccines much longer. In Washington, I'm Audra El-Nashar reporting.
New today, a Cedar Rapids man is facing a prison term for admitting to kicking and throwing his puppy, who you see here, Kimball. Iowa's News Now has been following this case. Kimball is recovering well after being cared for by Critter Crusaders of Cedar Rapids. 22-year-old Jaden Cliff kicked and threw Kimball, angry at the puppy for going to the bathroom on Cliff's bed. Kimball was left with a broken femur and broken bones in one of his paws. Jaden Cliff is now sentenced to 2 years in prison for aggravated animal abuse. He was arrested in April and pleaded guilty in May. Donut Land in Cedar Rapids is celebrating a half a century in business. In return for customers' loyalty, the owners are sending 50 Iowa children to Camp Courageous. Camp Courageous is for children with special needs. This campaign goes until National Donut Day on June 4th.
Officially, we started today, but we've had so much positive engagement from business partners or customers It's actually been shocking. But again, when I look at our great customers and the great community, it's just truly a statement to this whole city, what they've been able to do so far.
Already enough money has been raised to send 6 children to camp. Owners say if donations surpass the 50-child mark, they'll use the extra money to send more kids to camp. Nick, it's feeling like camp weather out there.
Not too bad at all, right? You do not want to miss the weather here in eastern Iowa this weekend because things are overall pretty pleasant. A live look from the Hydro Science Engineering Building in Iowa City. We got clouds in place, but things are dry for now. Look at the temperature, 74 degrees, dew points in the mid-60s, so still very muggy for this time of year. On the radar and satellite view, steady rain has now moved east of our area, but in its wake, there are a few scattered showers popping up here and there, as has been the theme for the last couple of days, really. The strongest cells right now up in our far northern counties, hugging the Minnesota border. No lightning with this anymore, although there were a few strikes of lightning not too long ago. Now, we've had a lot of days with rainfall. Unfortunately, not a lot of rainfall. Cedar Rapids, so far for this month, 1.81 inches. Iowa City, somehow, someway, continues to find a way to be the overperformer in eastern Iowa, more than an inch above normal for the month. But Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, and Dubuque, all below normal for this time of year. Now, we do have more rain in the forecast tomorrow, but again, very light spotty showers with lots of dry time. In fact, we don't have any rain icons on here because I do think the chance for rain tomorrow is a lot less than the last couple of days. Back in the mid to upper 70s for high temperatures tomorrow. Predictor, you'll see throughout the night tonight, mostly dry. By early tomorrow morning, predictors trying to spit out a few light showers. I do think most of tomorrow morning will be dry, though. And then similarly, by the afternoon, a spotty shower here and there popping up across the area. Sunday morning, you guessed it, more of the same. A spotty shower here and there. Again, I do think there'll be a lot of dry time on Sunday. And by Sunday afternoon, with the heating of the day, there'll be another chance for some scattered showers and storms. So the pattern continues to hold firm in terms of the active weather pattern. Now, going into the weekend, farmers markets, we got a lot of great ones in eastern Iowa tomorrow. Marion and Dubuque for just 2 examples. Not a bad start, mid-60s by the afternoon. We're under partly cloudy skies, mid-70s. There will be a chance for a few spotty showers. Now, going forward, if you're sick of the humidity, there are some signs of relief going forward. In fact, late next week, we'll have what's called a backdoor cold front pass through the area. That'll bring northeasterly winds off Lake Michigan. Water temperatures right now are still in the mid-40s to even upper 30s. So cool air will be filtering in by probably late next week. For tomorrow, though, 77 Cedar Rapids. We're at 78 Waterloo, 76 up in Decorah tomorrow. 7-day forecast for near 80 on Sunday, low 80s on Monday, and then cooling off a little bit as we get towards the end of next week.
All right, thank you, Nick. While we had a bit of rain overnight, folks in central Iowa saw a quick round of severe storms. Weather First meteorologist Nathan Santo Domingo is live with more on what we know today from the National Weather Service and what damage may still need to be surveyed. Nathan?
Yeah, Karen, last night it was pretty tame for most of the state, but in central Iowa there were a couple of stronger storms that did pop up as we head late into the evening. Here's a look at that survey that was confirmed just a few hours ago by the National Weather Service. An EF0 tornado there in Dallas County. A warning was issued just prior to the tornado touching down there at about 9:45, last night. It was on the ground for about a mile and a half. Overall, this is just the 3rd tornado to touch down. You remember one of them was back here in Cedar Rapids on the southwest side on April 7th, another one in Lee County back in March. Through May, we usually see about 22 tornadoes, so we're still lagging behind a little bit. Now, we might be adding to the tally, actually. We did have some viewer video. This sent to us from Trey Fulbright. He is a atmospheric science student at Iowa State University. You can kind of see there on your screen a little bit of lowering, maybe a funnel. We're not sure if anything has touched down. There is also a little bit of damage reported on the southwest side of Des Moines, so we'll keep you updated from what we hear from the National Service as we head through the weekend. Live on the weather patio, meteorologist Nathan Santo Domingo, Iowa's News Now.
Thank you, Nathan. And now let's take a live look tonight from Coralville. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
And your weekend planner, it's going to be warm and muggy. We do expect temperatures to be in the mid-70s to near 80 on Saturday, back near 80 on Sunday as well. Again, there will be a chance for a few spotty showers or thunderstorms throughout much of the weekend, but keep in mind there's still going to be a lot of dry time involved, so don't think it's going to be a washout. I wouldn't cancel plans, but you want to make sure you maybe have a rain jacket or umbrella or something like that. You get the refuge against the storm.
Sure, so some scattered type
Yeah,
stuff.
nothing too grand.
We can handle it. Thank you,
Yep.
Nick. Thank you for watching Iowa's News Now at 5. We'll be back at 6 after the CBS Evening News.